This video is by Straight Goods News, SGNews.ca.
Hello. I just had a quick question about the PBO.
Yes.
It seems that you guys seem to be worried that the mandate as it stands or as it's being interpreted currently is going to change, or that somehow the PBO will become a different body entirely. What's that based on?
Well, we're concerned that either the position will not be filled right away and that there'll be a significant gap, or that the position could be changed to make it more of a quote-unquote sounding board, as the finance minister has said, and not provide the kind of indispensable independent information that Canadians have come to rely on.
So what's wrong with the PBO being a sounding board?
Well, there's the whole Department of Finance. There's a lot of different sounding boards for the minister. What the PBO was created for was to provide accountability for Canadians. If you remember, he was created from the Accountability Act on the heels of the sponsorship scandal. And the point was to provide independent economic analysis, timely information in real time for Canadians, and not have to wait for an Auditor General to go back and tell us after the fact what has happened.
So is one of the risks that it could become that he becomes an officer of Parliament and therefore we only get updates as we do with the Auditor General every once in a while?
No. I have a private member's bill calling for him to be made an independent officer of Parliament rather than an appointment through the Library of Canada, so that he can be fully and truly independent and not serve at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. So we want him to be independent and to be able to provide that independent, respected advice. We've seen Kevin Page fulfill that role, and he's been continually criticized by this government every time they don't like some of the information that he's provided. But whereas the finance minister has been wrong so many times in his predictions and in his analysis, the PBO's record has actually been very good.
And do you think just a simple clarification of his mandate would actually help that, or do you absolutely need to become a separate order, like a separate officer?
Well, we think that this tug of war between the finance minister, the government, and the PBO would be clarified if he were an independent officer. We think that's preferable. But there seems to be also some confusion on the part of the government about his mandate.
Can you give me some reaction to Moody's downgrading 6 Canadian banks today?
Well, this is unprecedented, and I think it speaks to what the NDP has been saying all along, is that this government has been mismanaging the economy. Their projections have been overly rosy and optimistic, and they haven't been facing the facts that a consumer-led economy at some point is going to reach its limits, and I think that's what the Moody's downgrade is saying today.
The Minister's office, in response to this, is just pointing out that Moody's still rates Canadian banks as among the highest in the world, and they're not really addressing as to why. They're just saying we're going to monitor household debt. Do you think that's the appropriate reaction to a situation like this?
It's a question of what direction are we heading in, and for the minister to put on rose-colored glasses and say everything's fine, no problem here, move along, I don't think is the right reaction. I think what we need is a finance minister who's looking to what we're facing in the future, the challenges for the Canadian economy, and is putting measures in place to protect our economy and to help stimulate the Canadian economy that doesn't rely solely on consumer debt.
Okay, with the consumer debt issue, I mean, they've taken steps on mortgages. They've been publicly urging Canadians to pay off their debt and warning them about household debt levels for a while now. What more needs to be done, though?
Well, there's big problems with business not investing in Canada. Clearly, their approach of hands-off tax cuts and just letting companies do whatever they want has not worked, because we haven't seen aggressive enough job creation to pay for decent jobs, good jobs, to give people enough money to be able to keep their heads above water. Costs are going up. incomes for the majority of Canadians are stagnant, and we're seeing rising inequality where the people at the top, their incomes are rising very well, very rapidly, but for most people, their incomes are flat. I hear it all the time from people. My bills are going up, my paycheck isn't. Something's got to give.